All right, so now you need some round reed. You're gonna have to decide at this point which side you want your top to be. I like to have a little bit more for my top, a little bit less for my bottom. So what you do is you're going to cut a point at one of the ends like this. And you're going to bring that, and it's going to go just in there. And then you kind of gauge, I've already cut mine, but you kind of gauge where you want your loop, your lobes to go, like how large you want your lobes. And so I cut this one down. And so this one here is going to be your center one. So it goes between the center from here to here. And it'll be the longest part of your lobe. So it needs to be a little farther out than the top of the hoop, right, the side of the hoop here. And it definitely needs to be below this here. But you don't want it all the way down to like here. You want it to be kind of closer up. All right, so I have the other side made already. I'm just going to stick that in there like that. And we're going to stick its other end in here. And then we're going to look and see if these lobes match. And if those lobes don't match, then you're going to need to cut one of the sides down just a little bit to make sure that they are even. It looks like mine may not be even, so I think I need to cut this down just a smidge. Up. It helps if I put it on the correct side. All right, there we go. Straighten that out. Bring them both down to center. Those look pretty good. So now we need to make 2 more for this side and 2 more for this side. So you'll go here, 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 and here. And so the way we do that is we cut our point. And so what I'm doing here, you notice there's a curve to this already, the way it comes off of the spool. So right now this point is going the opposite direction of what I want it to be. So I want it to go where my point is on the curved, outside curved side. So I'm gonna, and you'll notice these move around. They're gonna move around until we have them woven in. All right, so we are going to measure this around. So I've already stuck it into this side. And so I'm just taking it around to the other side and just kind of getting an eyeball idea of where I need to cut it. And it's going to go in the same as the other one, this one here. So it looks like I might have made that one a little bit too long. See how it comes a little bit too far out this way? And that would work because we're still going to fill in between each of these once we get a few rows of weaving in. So it would probably work. It would just make us a little bit more of a rounder lobe on this side. But I'm going to go ahead and cut mine down just a little bit. It doesn't really take much. And then while I have it out, I'm going to go ahead and cut my other side. And my other side is going to be, it should be pretty close to the same size. So I go ahead and cut it while I have the first side out. Let's see how that's going to go in there like that, and it's there it is. And we're going to do the same thing over here. Those look pretty even. Now we need to cut our point down for the bottom piece. I'm going to go ahead and cut my second side. And get those tucked in. And again, these ribs will move around until we have our first row of weave in. So those are pretty even. All right, so I've got some flat oval that I have soaked. And so what we're going to do is we're going to come in from back here, from the inside. So we're going to loop in the inside. We're going to get ourselves behind here. And what I like to do is just tuck this back in here. So again, these are going to move around on us. It's just the nature of how this works. Sometimes it'll pop out. And if it does, you just put it back in its place. And remember, your hoop, your handle, is considered a rib. So it is something that you weave around. See, there we go. Probably the most frustrating thing about weaving a rib basket. And if you notice, I'm holding this upside down. I like to hold my rib baskets upside down. It just makes it easier for me to work. And the other reason I like holding it like this, if you notice where my fingers are on the inside, on the side that I'm working on, I take my thumb and I put it here, and I take my fingers and I put it on the inside of those ribs, and I try to push those ribs in as much as I can to give it some tension. So once you get to this side of the handle, you're going to just reverse direction. Switch hands here. So if I start out with natural here on the God's Eye, I usually like to do some type of color or dye read for the first set of weavers. That's just my preference. I mean, you can make the whole thing one color, or all natural. I've been on a natural and smoke kick recently. And red. That's another one. Maybe I'm thinking of Christmas or something. I don't know. All right, so we're coming back around, and we have that hoop. So we had to remember last time we went underneath, so this time we go over the top of it. And you're gonna bring it just up like that. And if you notice, our ribs are behaving a little bit better now that we have a little bit more tension on them. This reed does start to dry out the longer you're playing around with it. So once you get to the hoop here and you're doing this turn back, if it's dry, definitely give it some spritz, because on egg baskets, we're not going to put a rim here. So if this cracks, it's there. Unlike, you know, with a basket that has a rim on it, we can hide any of those imperfections. That's not something we can do on one of these baskets. So if you do start out your first, actually I wouldn't recommend starting your first set of weavers with a long, really long piece. I would go with a piece that will at least get you 3 rows. So I've got 3 over here already, and this will be, I'll be finishing off my 3rd on this round. And I like to count my rows up here because people don't really pay attention to anything that's back in here besides, you know, there's too much space. They may notice that, but I like to be symmetrical. So if I have 3 on this side, I want to have 3 loops on this side. So we're going to bring this back to right in here, and we're just going to end this section for now. And I'm just going to clip it because I don't want to get rid of all this extra quite yet. But I want to get started on the other side, that so I can make sure that we've secured the ribs on the other side. So I'm just going to clip those off so they don't go anywhere. All right, here we go again on the other side. So we're going to come in behind, or this side hasn't been fully secured yet, so they're going to try to move around on us. We're just going to stick that in under there. And then we're going to start our weaving. If you notice, see how these ribs are trying to get out of whack a little bit? It's really important, especially this first set of weavers, to get your ribs secured where you want them to be. I mean, at least we don't have to hold on to them as tight as we did the other side at this point. They're a little bit more friendly, and they don't try to run away like they do when we don't have the other side secure.